Yeah, I played centre forward, left school at like 16, and then I went to Derby because there was no running. It was just 5-a-sides, pure football, unbelievable. I was like, this is down my road.
Brilliant. Best way.
So Dino, he's not short of confidence. So I always say to everybody, to be a manager, head coach, you need 3 things. You need time, luck, and good players. And he said, listen, Mickey, we've got no players. We're going to get relegated. Like, I need someone to help me. Go and play 3-5-2. We're in League 2. Give up the wingers because we've got no wingers in the building. We had like 4 or 5 players that were earning around about 1,700 a week, right? And then Sam went out, and I said to Michael, "I'm going to go 1 or 2 ways, mate. This is this is boom or bust now." But I wasn't looking to leave. And then Roland spoke to Shrewsbury, Cheltenham, and said, we're looking to go down the director of football route. Can I speak to Mickey? And because he was so nice, it made it I loved him even more.
Right, welcome everybody to another edition of In the Stiffs. We've got a fascinating guest today who I think is going to be an amazing listen for Shrewsbury Town fans in particular, and that is none other than Micky Moore. Welcome, Mickey.
Thank you for having me.
Let's kick off then. Who's going to ask Mickey the first question? Gav, I've got a loose script today.
It's very loose.
Well, I've been busy, haven't I? It's towards the end of term.
For non-Shrewsbury listeners, you want to quickly just give Mickey an intro to say what he does?
Oh, sorry, I haven't even said that. So Mickey is the director of football at Shrewsbury Town. The director of football, quite a controversial position in the football club. I think we'd all agree. We'll be touching on that in a little bit. And then we'll take it from there. And I think it's going to be a fantastic listen.
Go on then, Gav. Let's go.
That's it. That's all you're doing. Okay, right, no problem. First of all, Mick, great to have you here. Obviously, we're old acquaintances. Give me a proper dig on Saturday, by the way, in the ribs. Thanks for that. Couldn't sleep Saturday night. That was a nice welcome. Mate, thanks for coming in. Just we're going to go, like you say, Sam's script is very loose. He actually asked me to do it, and he's really good at doing it, so I had a few things on today.
You've been busy with work, haven't you? Yeah. But obviously, you two been playing golf again, have you? And had lunch again, you two?
Yeah, I was Dave's caddy today.
Yeah. Been busy. Trying to fit 9 holes in longer lunches.
That's why I've got a sunburn redhead.
Yeah.
So Mick, we'll just go right back to the start. Obviously, you're a player. Just wanted to know about what were you like as a player? I know you were as a striker. Elbows, was it? Link player?
No. I'd say more of a link player. I played centre forward, left school at like 16, and then I went to Derby.
That's it, Derby.
Yeah, so I had 3 years at Derby. But actually, in old money, it was a YTS days in. So you ought to be aware of. And then as a first-year pro, I went on loan to Telford with Jerry Daly.
Right.
So, I went there. And then Arthur Cox was manager and let me go. And then I went to West Brom for a short period. And then I went to Swansea for 3 years, which was good.
Who was your manager at Swansea?
Frank Burrows.
All right, yeah.
So I went to Swansea. Had a back injury and then I went into non-league football. But I'd say in terms of my strength was I was an 18-yard box player.
Yeah.
So had no physicality, had no pace, crap in the air.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Sounds like you're describing me, yeah.
So
you wouldn't have signed yourself?
No, the only thing that I did do is I'd consistently score between, 20, 30 goals a season.
That's not a bad habit, is it?
Gary Lineker sort of.
Yeah.
He used to say to me in training, he used to go, fucking, if I played up against you, Karen, I'd absolutely smash the living guy.
So in old money, I'd be like a Gary Lineker, 18-yard box, 6-yard box. I was
Fox in the box.
Yeah, so, then obviously once I got into non-league and I went lower down, I was 30, 40 goals a season, and that would be my USP for one standout attribute.
Typical of you to just brush over it, but the back injury wasn't just any back injury, was it? I think that put you right out of the game.
Yeah, so obviously, this day and age, there could be a lot can be done now, but again, in old money, if you look at it in terms of, when your brakes are going on your car because you can hear screeching on your brakes, and I've got L3, L4 and L5 where literally I've got no disc. I've got vertebrae on top of vertebrae on top of vertebrae. So it was literally, they couldn't do anything for me. And and I remember Frank Burrows pulling me and saying, "Listen, you know, your career's over, son." Do you know what I mean? It was, I mean, back then that's how it was done. You know, it was quite brutal. If you were to carry on, you know, I've got to think of you long term in terms of you've still got another 50 years of living. You could be in a wheelchair. And I went and seen a specialist, and he basically said the same thing. Like, so it was pack your bags and off you go.
What age were you when this happened?
20. When it happened, I was 21, and I was out for like near enough a year because you don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
you know, you're thinking like something can be done, something can be done. I was doing quite well at Swansea in terms of like in and around, like there was no like in old money again, there'd be a first team, and then if you didn't play, if you was on the bench and you didn't play, you play for the reserves.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense now though, because I was told to pack my bags loads of times, so I must have had an L4, L5, L6 injury. Yeah. That must have been what it was. I have to get a scan.
So then you went non-league, so that's part-time.
Yeah, so what I did then was I knew that I had to make a decision then what I'm going to do in life. Do you know what I mean? Because like all I've ever wanted to do is play football. So I went into coaching. So what I did was I came out from I come out of Swansea and I went to Telford under Wayne Clark. And like Wayne was really good because there was no running. It was just 5-a-sides, pure football. Unbelievable. I was like, this is down my road.
Brilliant.
Yes, Wayne.
Yeah, brilliant. He weren't interested in anything else. And I remember, I think it might have been, I don't know, people at Telford remember. I remember we played one of my first games in pre-season. We played Man United in George Foster's testimonial, like Ryan Giggs, and it was packed to the book's head, like. So then I went there, and I thought I'm going to go into coaching. So I went and took my coaching badges, and that's going to be the route I'm going to go. And I'm going to use non-league football to earn a few quid. And I was lucky enough that I earned a few quid in non-league. Wherever I went, I got looked after because I managed to score a few goals. And then when I did my B licence, and then I was about 28, 29, I got my A licence. And then I stopped playing then. As soon as I got my A licence, that was me done. I knew I'm going to go into coaching in terms of whether I'm going to go into academies, whatever it was.
What sort of age were you then, Mick?
I was about 28 when I finished. I got my A licence.
Well ahead of time then.
And then what I did was, back in the day, there was these, like they're all over the place now, you know, like college footballers, college academies.
Yeah.
I got involved in a college academy, so I run a college academy. And then I got the opportunity to Solihull Borough phoned me up and said, like, do you want to be the manager? I was like, well, I'm 30 years of age, like, you know, I've never managed or never coached in non-league, never. And they were like, yeah, it's okay. You know, you got your college lads, and because I think in 12 months' time they were going to merge with Moor Green to make Solihull Moors, as you know, Solihull Moors now. So I went, yeah, okay, in for a penny, in for a pound. I got nothing to lose. It doesn't matter where we finish because the club's non-existent. So I managed Solihull Borough for a year. Really good. We had a lot of good young players. I used a lot of my college players. And then I was really lucky with my college. Really, really lucky because the bloke who brought me in to do it wanted a really good scheme. So I managed to get some really good staff. And you all know, you know, the key to anything successful is getting good staff. So I managed to get some really good staff in, and I managed to get some good players. And luckily enough, the staff have gone on and done really well for themselves. And, you know, I managed to get, I don't know, I was there for about 6 or 7 years. We managed to get, I don't know, half a dozen lads into the pro game. I'll quickly tell you a story. So one of the lads that we had, right, I had like a left back, right, good lad he was. Anyway, so I got him in. Then, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, he come in and then I left as well. That's about 2 years later. Anyway, I went to Nuneaton as assistant manager to Kev Wilkin. So Kev was like, we need a left back. I said, yeah, I've got this lad, rapid, honestly, really quick. Bit of a speedboat, no driver, but listen, don't worry, he's learning the game. He's rapid.
And you had me next to him to look after him.
Yeah, so alongside him was Gav. Now, obviously, you know what Gav's like. So Gav is, not the most mobile, but could play. You could, you know, we had.
Don't tell him that.
We had Gaz Dean.
I'd say both them comments are quite generous.
So we had Gaz Dean, who was really young and like looked up to Gav, who was a defender, and then Gav was your footballer. Anyway, so this lad is like, you've got to get forward. You've got to get forward. Yeah. So 2 or 3 games, he's unbelievable. He's making overlaps. He's coming underlaps. Brilliant. And there was, you know, like there was 1 or 2 games then where he's not getting forward. So I said to Kev, like, have you pulled him, like, to say, like, why aren't you? You know, why isn't he making the voice? He goes, Mickey, I don't know, like. Yeah. So I pull him in the bar after one game. I went, can I have a word? Like, he said, I said, like, you all right? Like, you've stopped. Yeah. Gavin won't let me go, mate.
I can imagine it. I knew that was coming.
I went, what do you mean? He went, he's old man me, basically. He's pulled me in and like, and he goes, I'm really scared of him. So I went, listen, forget, you know, pure expletives, but listen, don't listen to him, mate. Yeah. He's gone. He's yesterday's man. You just go. Forget this.
You don't like that left channel being open.
He needed that. He needed that security blanket, that left channel.
Trust me.
He's not chasing that left channel, is he?
But
You've not seen my invisible rope.
The funny thing about it is the left back who it was played in the Premier League last year.
Did he?
Amari Bell for Luton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Amari Bell played left back and Gav was left side centre half.
Not letting him go anywhere.
He wasn't allowed to run. If he played with Gav, he'd have still been there.
Mate, his main attribute was running, and I wouldn't have it.
You know, the old bungee run. Get here, yeah. So,
and then after that, I started going to Mickey, Mickey, you won't listen to me. He just keeps running on. Mickey's like, I don't know what you want about, mate.
Yeah, honestly, so yeah. I said to Amari, mate, you've been old man, mate. Listen, you don't listen to me. Listen, you're going to get that in your career where they're going to pull you in a little bit.
He was unreal, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he literally,
brilliant.
Jokes aside, he literally used to just get the ball and just open his legs and
go.
And he would be gone.
He's perfect for that outside of a back three, isn't he?
That's what I'm saying. So we had him as like a left back, stroke left wing back. Yeah. But obviously, he's got a bit older now. He's a left-sided centre half, and he's perfect now because he can go out there. But
he's like really tall and rangy and gangly when he's filled out a little bit as well.
But he was in the college programme, Amari.
Is that where he come from, Mick? Was it?
Yeah, that's where he come from.
Were you always like interested in coaching? Because 21's young to be interested in coaching, is it? Most lads don't really start taking much of an interest until they get a little bit older. Yeah,
I was always interested in. Once I finished, it was like, okay, I thought I'd always been interested, so I then put myself into coaching, just see where it would go and where it would lead you. But the college was the one. We managed to get some really good players.
So the college, so they come do their education, but they get to train like an academy.
It's been really diluted now, like Mick said a minute ago. They're everywhere. But back then, obviously, they were few and far between, weren't they? So it was like, if you could get into one of them, it would be the best of the best of the best outside of academy. So they were really sought after.
Catch some of those late bloomers.
Yeah, they were really successful.
They were really successful. The real success is like really early. We were really lucky. You had a Manny Smith who went to Warsaw, Theo Street who went to Warsaw, Derby, and we got 2 or 3 into the league, and then all of a sudden we got a bit of a reputation around the area, and then we got more and more. And
just to stop, because I know Theo listens to this, and obviously Theo's like one of my really good mates. Like, we can't say footballer; it has to be in the loosest term. Theo
he's a good defender,
very good athlete, very good defender. Yeah, just so Theo, just so you're listening, we're not talking about you in football terms, right? So, because I know I'll get a call tomorrow.
Yeah, and then like the first real breakthrough was I had a centre forward who wanted to come on the scheme, but his mum went no, he's not coming. Yeah. He's going to go back. He's been at a club for 8 years. He'd been released at 16. He's going to do his A levels because he's really intelligent. And he come to me and he said, listen, Mickey, I want to join the scheme, but my mum won't let me. So I said, okay, bring your mum in. We'll have a conversation. So we had a conversation. She wanted to do A-levels. I said, what if I could get him doing his A-levels and his education and the football? Yeah. Then he's going to have to... And she went, if he's willing to do it, which he said he was. And so he come in, and he was 16. I put him straight into my first team, because then I went, after Solly all that 12 months, I went to Stratford as manager. And I put him straight into my first team. And I only had him 3 months, was Will Grigg.
Oh, wow.
Will Grigg started. Yeah, Will Grigg started.
What career he's gone on to have.
Yeah, brilliant, Will. Really good. He's still
one of the best chants ever in football as well.
Grigg's on fire.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, so he was one that really done well, like Will. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
that's brilliant from his mum as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, she was like...
Yeah, but being a good parent.
Yeah, she was like so adamant, like, no, Mickey, no, he's got to do his A levels. And I was like, fine. And Will was like, I'll do whatever it takes, Mickey. And he's gone on another good career.
So he played at Stratford, you say?
Yeah, he's played at
Stratford. He played Stratford. Then where was his move from there?
I got him then to Warsaw.
Okay.
Because I took a few players into Warsaw, and then I said to Mickey Elsall, I said, Mickey, listen, I've got a centre forward. He said, Mickey, I know all about him. I went, no problem, Mick. If you don't want him, no problem. I've got other clubs that are interested. And then he said, no, okay, bring him in for a week. And he done well, and the rest is history. Like, but the college at that stage was a good opportunity for kids to get an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I took a young coach on. His mum and dad were leaving to go down to Newquay. They were uprooting, but he wanted to stay. He worked at Birmingham in the community, but he wanted to coach. You know, community is about going into schools and doing not just football. And he wanted to be a football coach. So I said, come with me, like, you know, you can come and help me do the first team and da-da-da-da-da. So he had like 3 years with me. And then, you know, after about 12 months, he got his missus pregnant. But he was a really good coach, you know what I mean, and a real student of the game. And I took him under my wing for like 3 years. And then he went to West Brom. He's now at Bayern Munich as assistant manager. Aaron Danks. Aaron Danks. Yeah. So Aaron Danks started off at Solihull College with me, my assistant.
Wow, amazing. What story.
Yeah. So, like, you know, we had, like, Jimmy Shan, who's now at Villa 18s. We had
the West Brom job, didn't he, for a while?
Yeah, we had Bealey, Richard Beale, who's now 21s.
So, like, guy.
Yeah, so these all worked in the college with me, like, they all worked. You know, it was brilliant. We had a really good staff.
They all kept moving on and you had to stay.
Yeah, I had to stay, yeah.
When did you come out of that then?
So in 2009, about 2010, I got an opportunity to go to Mansfield as assistant manager full-time. So I went to Mansfield.
Just before that, though, Mick, I remember vividly, like, when I didn't know you at the time, but I knew of you. Your name was really, like, reverberating around non-league at the time. You know, someone who was, like, again, really clued up, really, like, you know, almost like it was felt to me at the time like you were very much like a scout and people leaning on you and players were moving on and, like, you know, if you could be attached to you and linked to you, you'd probably get a move. And I remember the first time I ever met you, I remember we were having a conversation. I remember walking away saying to me, who's that? He went, it's Micky Moore. And I was thinking, and the name just stuck. But that's obviously we met later properly. But
yeah, I was quite lucky because, like, you know, then you know, got some good young lads. Like, I got Matty Blair, who couldn't put his shoes on the right feet in terms of, like, 17 and, you know, went on and had a good career. Like Ratty done well, Jack Byrne had a real good non-league career. So we had some good players. So I got the opportunity to go to Mansfield full-time as assistant.
What were they in League 1, League 2?
No, they were in the National League.
Right.
So, and Paul Cox was manager. And I said to Paul, like, you know, as long as I could do the coaching, you know, you can manage and do all the other stuff. And he was happy with that.
He would be, wouldn't he?
And and then he, like, Mansfield, like, mid-table in the National League. And we ended up finishing third that year. And we did well. We lost out to York. Funny enough, Blairy scored actually for York. But in that year, we lost 7 games all season. We never lost 2 games back-to-back or never lost 2 games in a calendar month out of 46. Yeah. So we, like, the winners, funny enough, the winners were Fleetwood and second were Wrexham. They, like, had 100 points and 101 points. It was that freak year, like with Vardy was on, and Dean Saunders was manager of Wrexham, and they had, like, an unbelievable team.
Would that be when you were there?
That would have been the year after that.
Ah, right, okay.
Following year. I was there, did terrible.
No, but
really kicked on after.
Saunders. But it's funny that you say that, though, because didn't Saunders say things like that? Like, don't lose 2 on the bounce. Isn't it? Like, you know, you lose a game, right? It's how you react. Don't lose 2 on the bounce.
Yeah.
So not
and
losing
then
that, not
I left
big
Mansfield that year after I went to Nuneaton. They just got promoted to the National League, and we played the first game against. I'll always remember it. I said to Kev, like, because Kev was a really good man manager, really good, but he weren't a coach, and he knew that. So he said, "You do the coaching," and so we played the first game. We played Ebbsfleet. We lost something like 5-4. And then on the Tuesday night, we played Newport away and we lost like 3 or 4-1. It was ridiculous. So we'd locked back-to-back and we conceded 9 goals. And I remember sitting on the coach with Kev and I went, this is only going to go 1 or 2 ways, mate. They either come on board and do what I tell them or I'm leaving because we're getting relegated, mate. You can't do what you did in Conference North here. And I remember having a chat on the Thursday night. We had like a chat and said, listen, we're going to have to meet middle ground. So you can have the first part, you know what I mean, whatever you want to do. Give me the middle part in terms of me doing my coaching, and then you can have your fun games at the end.
I remember the meeting.
But you've got to give me the middle part. Do you know what I mean? I know you go to work, and I know that you're not used to stop, stand still coaching. I know you're not used to it. But if you want to compete at this level, you're going to have to come on board with me. Yeah. But I'll give you the other part. You can have the beginning and you can have the end, but make sure you give me the middle.
I remember the meeting. I remember the room that we did it in. And it actually started before that, because when Mick come in, we obviously had this real sort of like brilliant changing room, and we were like a fucking like great group of lads who were just like hell for leather. We're going to go and win games, we'll fight you in the tunnel, we'll flipping beat you on the pitch, all of that. And then obviously like Mick comes in, and obviously there's like an element of structure, and it's quite strict. So at first it was like, is he all right? Yeah. Like, who the fuck does he think he is? Sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And then we went on pre-season tour, didn't we? Yeah. We went to Guernsey. Yeah. So we flew out to Guernsey, and you go out there on a tin can, don't you? So it all started then, and then Mick sort of started not loosening up, but started showing that other side. Because obviously that's when you can, isn't it? And obviously we didn't realise that. We thought it was like we were having a great time. We're winning games, and like obviously you can't do that in the league above. You can't just turn up and win like that. So it was on that trip, really, that then you showed that other side. So then the respect was there. And then obviously when we lost the first couple of games and then had that meeting, I think if we hadn't have had that pre-season tour, that might have not have gone as well as it did. But after that, we come out of there going, right, lines have been drawn in the sand there. And I was one of the ones in the changing room going, look, at the end of the day, we're here and we're loyal to them. And, like, no mutiny. Like, we're going for it. And, like, we ended up having a big talk. I ended up coming on the coach because I think, did we play Wrexham? We were bottom of the league at Christmas, weren't we?
So what happened was, like, because Kev said to me, like, some big character, like, Gav's a big character, big voice in the change room, and all the group looked up to him. And there was all the big people there, but Gav was the number one. So I was saying, okay, that's fine. But all players have got one common denominator. They've all got an ego, and they won't want to get used to losing. You're going down.
Absolutely.
To be fair, the lads brought on board. We lost the first two games. That was the only back-to-back defeat we had all season. And so we chipped away. We'd draw, we'd lose. You know, we'd draw, we'd lose.
We played Macclesfield at home, didn't we?
Do you know what I mean? And
what was it you changed? You said you had to have the middle part of the session to do some tactical stuff.
So
what was it? Just defence?
Just shape. And it's a lot of stop, stand still. Yeah, a lot of stop, stand still.
Which the lads hate, don't they?
I know they hated it. So it was I concentrated more off the ball. Yeah. Then I'd get them to an area where they can showcase their talent. Well, then once they got there, I didn't care what they did. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because that was then. Like, there were some good players like Jimmy Armisen at the time was Ledge, Sleafy. There was some good players. And then we ended up getting a couple of lads on loan from Coventry and done really well. And we ended up staying up that year. And then the year after, we recruited really well. And I was there for the first 3 months. And I remember playing Cambridge on the Tuesday night. And we won, and we went top of the league of the National League. Brilliant. It was unbelievable. And then I left about 2 or 3 weeks later to go back to Mansfield as assistant.
Cambridge were literally at the time as well. They were like the top in that, and we just annihilated.
We annihilated them on the Tuesday night, and then literally Kev left. I left, and then about 2 months later, Kev left. He took the Wrexham job.
If you'd have taken that first season,
didn't we? We had what's his name up front? Louis Moult.
Louis Moult, yeah.
Louis Moult was Ledge for us.
He played the first 9 games and didn't score, but what he contributed to the team was like out of this world. Yeah. And then he scored in his 10th game, and literally it was like we'd celebrated winning the league. Like it was unreal. But that first season, we really struggled. I remember getting on the coach, but we were about to have a Christmas night out. And we'd actually started playing really well. Like Mick says, we were drawing a lot and all that. Like we played Macclesfield, didn't we? Yeah. And we were 3-1 up. Like game's over. Like, and then literally in the last 2 kicks of the game, concede 2 goals. It was like, we were brilliant at times, and then we're just a bit inconsistent. And then I remember getting on the coach, and I picked up the mic, and Kev looked at me as if to go, "Don't you fucking dare!" And I literally went, "Right, we're going on a night out, forgetting all about it. We're putting it. No, don't get the balls out tonight. We're going out. We're having a tear up." But I'm telling you now, when we get in Tuesday, there's only one way we're going. And like, obviously it wasn't that speech that did it, but we came in on the Tuesday and like we just caught fire, didn't we?
Yeah, we signed Lee Burge, who was good for us.
Yeah, he was quality.
Aaron Phillips at right back. Yeah. Lee Burge was a young keeper coming up at Coventry, really good. And then all of a sudden he would make big saves, big moment saves where we'd go from, we're in games drawing, he'd make a save, we've got to do it in the score and we'd go and win 2-1 or we'd go and win 1-0. And then all of a sudden that gave us a lot of confidence.
We finished 11th, I think, that season, which was like obviously a part-time team in the National League. They said, I remember them saying, if we'd have taken the second part of that season the first part of that, that would have won the league.
Yeah.
But is that because you put the structure in?
Yeah, and again,
Mick fucked off and left us all in the lurch. Like.
Yeah, so I mean, what do you call it? So it's easy for me to sit here and say it wasn't down to me. What was down to me was saying, listen, you know, I'd by this stage, I'd probably had 5 or 6 years of coaching and managing.
Yeah.
Just give me an opportunity. And if it's not what you want and you don't see the outcomes, then, but just, you know, if I'm there and you're there, let's come and meet in the middle. And to be fair, they did. And I think...
Oh, we proper bought into it.
Yeah, so I think they went, okay, then we're going to give this an opportunity. And it helped because the year before I was at Mansfield, we'd finished 3rd in the National League. I'd been in the National League. So I got a little bit of... a stripe in terms of saying, let's give him an opportunity. Yeah. And then when they started seeing then it's starting to work in games,
that's the key,
I think it was a case of, okay, let's run with this. And then it snowballed, where it got to the stage then where at the beginning of sessions, I remember speaking to Gaz Dean, and I said, okay, then, so we always started off with shooting at the beginning. And, like, you know, if you put it over the stand, it's like £1 fine. Yeah. And then I'd be doing the setups, like, and stitching all the lads up, and we'd end up earning like 15, 20 quid every training session. So that the lads bought into it.
That was just from me.
Yeah. So
how did the Nuneaton? How did the Mansfield thing come about then after Nuneaton?
So what happened was I'd done 12 months and I had a falling out with Paul Cox. And I said, no, I'm going to finish. That's me done. Like,
what was that over?
So I only had a 1-year contract, and he offered me another contract, and I thought he was a little bit disrespectful on the contract that he offered.
Yeah.
So I said, listen, that's me done. Like, and I think he thought I was joking.
Yeah.
So I went down, seen the chairman. I went to John Radford, who's there now. I went, John, Chairman, thank you for everything. You've been amazing. Really appreciate it, but I'm done. Do you know what I mean? I think he's been rude and disrespectful. I know my own worth. I know what I've brought to the group. And he's gone, Mickey, I don't want to lose you. And I went, listen, I understand that, Chairman, but Paul has the final say. And he went, yeah. And then, to be fair to them, the year after they went and won the league. And then they went up to the Football League.
Yeah.
And in the first 10 games, they were like, they couldn't win a game, basically. And then the chairman said to Paul, there's 2 things going to happen here. Either you're going to turn this around or you're getting a sack. Now, if you're going to turn it around, you need to go and get someone to do the coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the chairman kind of indicated you need to get Mickey back.
Yeah.
So then I'd kept in touch with Paul. We didn't fall out. It was out of principle. I was like, nah, I know my own worth. And then Paul phoned me up. He said, listen, Mickey, would you come back? We're in the Football League. I went, yeah, but I'm doing my contract with the chairman. I'm not dealing with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I spoke to the chair. I went and met the chairman. The chairman said, I want you to come back. I said, okay, I want a 3-year contract. And he went, yeah, you can have whatever you want. Within reason. So I signed a 3-year contract as assistant there. And
how long were you there?
3 years.
And then Grimsby after that.
So what happened then was Paul left after about 12 months, and Adam Murray took over. Yeah. Adam was like a fan's favourite, wanted to be a manager. I didn't really want to manage. I wanted to be a coach assistant. Yeah. So Adam took over. Really young Adam was 34. Wanted to fight the world. Wanted to reinvent the wheel. And I spent half my time babysitting him. So we did all right. Adam did well, but then my contract was coming to an end. So to be fair to Adam, he was quite honest to a degree in terms of saying, listen, Mickey, I get on really well with you. You know, you've been brilliant, but I just want to bring my own staff in. I was like, yeah, fine. You know, we're not going to fall out over it. It happens. Okay. So we didn't renew my contract.
He's a bit of a coach as well, though, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
Adam's
likes
a
to
coach.
do his own stuff.
Adam's a good coach. And then I went to... so when I left to go to Mansfield first time, I'd become Solihull Moors manager.
Yeah.
And then I left then, but when I left to go to Solihull Moors as manager, I put Marcus in charge. So I said to Marcus, I want you to take over, because I'd put a lot of work in with the college and Solihull Moors then. You take over, and the club were good. So they let Marcus take over. So obviously then when I went back 5-6 years later, whatever it was, Marcus was manager. And then we then got the Grimsby job. And then basically we got the Grimsby job, and we got to January, and we had Omar Bogle, who had done well for Paulhurst, to be fair, to get him out of the National League into. But Omar was bought from Solihull Moors from Marcus. But in their first year back, Omar was really hit and miss, and Paul had him on the bench. Yeah. And then Paul got the Shrewsbury job. So then the Grimsby job came up. So we got the job. And to be fair to Marcus, he near enough built his team around Omar because he knew him. And then from the end of November, beginning of December to the end of January, Omar scored like 12, 13 goals. He just went on an unbelievable run. And we ended up selling him for 1.3 million. But the turning point for us was when Marcus went in, I think one of the big mistakes he made was he said to every player, you'll all get an opportunity. I'm going to give you all an opportunity before January to show me what you can do. And the goalkeeper was a bloke called Dean McEwen, who played every single game, never missed. No matter how good or bad he was playing. To be fair to Paul and Doige, they brought a goalkeeper in as a backup to Dean McEwen. Mm-hmm. So I said to Marcus, like, you've promised now everyone to play, so you're going to have to play him. You've got no choice. I'm like, like, you're going to war with the biggest name in Grimsby, the biggest fans' favourite, and like we're on the back foot straight away. Like, what are you doing? Absolutely. So anyway, so this goalkeeper then was like, Mickey, when am I getting my chance? You know, you're going to get your chance. Like, soon. Yeah, so like, you know, a week would go by. No, and then another week would go by.
EFL trophy.
So it got to the stage, and to be fair, Dean, and again, we played Portsmouth on I'll tell you what, we played Portsmouth on a Tuesday night at home. Kyle Bennett scored a great goal. It was a really good goal, but Dino could have done more. And that was your opportunity to drop him. That was the one. And
I'm like literally pent up.
And Marcus has got, no, I'm going to give him another game. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So he gives him another game. Dino's brilliant.
Yeah, man of the match. Got dropped now.
Do you know what I mean? I think you've killed yourself. So then he ended up dropping Dino. We played Stevenage Joanna, and he said to Dino, listen, I'm going to give this keeper a chance. Yeah. This was in the morning. So Marcus told him before the session, he names the team. We go out, we do shape. We're going to the game overnight. By the time we get on the coach to go, he's already handed in a transfer request. Training finished. He went straight down the ground, transfer request. Oh, mate, I can't work with him. I'm like, Marcus, well done, mate.
Yeah, killed it.
So the goalkeeper that went in, right?
Please play well.
was Dean Henderson.
Oh, okay.
So it was Dean Henderson. Yeah. So we give Dino's first ever league game was at Grimsby under me and Marcus. Yeah. So Dino went in. Not bad. So then the next game comes, we play Accrington. Decent. Then we play Blackpool. Decent. Oh. So now, like, we've got a problem. We've got Dean McEwen, who's handed a transfer request in. The fans are going ballistic. Unbelievable legend. And now we've got Dean Henderson, who's like a cat.
Yeah. Please let one in. Just let one in.
So he's like unbelievable.
Take a loss today.
So we got to the stage, like, so Dino, he's not short of confidence. No. So he used to say to me, Mickey, can I have a word yet? He goes, like, why is it like every time we do shooting or a small-sided game at the end, so I'm saying I'm running a small-sided game at the end for him, why is all the balls in his goal and never in mine? Honestly. He used to mug him off.
Do you know that reminds me of? That's Joe Hart, isn't it?
Joe,
look at the careers they've got on.
Honestly.
Yeah. Why am I saving everything? He can't save anything.
Yeah.
Joe's saying training, why can't anyone score?
Yeah. So Dean was like, so I'm saying, like, Dino, like, you know, where do you think, I'm David De Gea's, I'm his replacement.
Yeah.
Dino, you're 4 for 5th in line, mate. And you can't get in Grimsby's team. Yeah. No, I'm his replacement, Mickey. No problem, mate. I used to turn around to like the goalkeeping coach Andy Warrington. And he said to Marcus, like, this kid is deluded. Like he's
Wow.
Do you remember Skitty came on and he said when he was at Shrewsbury, he told Skitty, he goes, I'm the best in the world.
Yeah, I
Best in the
know.
world.
Oh, and he believes it.
Yeah.
So like we'd be in training, and
it's good.
and I'm going to say like one day he lost the five-a-sides, mate. It was ridiculous. When I say he lost he went ballistic. And I'm like, Dino, like you've lost the five-a-side. Like I know it's important, but like it's not. When you're at Man United, mate, you don't lose. We are inbred. We don't lose five-a-sides. We don't lose anything. And it was like, fair comment, mate. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. His mindset was on a completely different level. So we ended up selling Omar Bogle, which we didn't mind. 1.3 million, brilliant for the club. We then revamped the whole squad. We brought Jamie Osborne in. We brought Sam Jones, who came in here then. Yeah. So what we did was we started to build a squad for the summer, which John Fenty was like, we were like, that's fine. And then Jose Mourinho decided, now I want to bring Dean Henderson back. And we were like, oh, no, we're in trouble now. Yeah. Now we've got to go back to Dino. So
and he'd stayed?
Yeah, Dean stayed. Dean McEwen stayed. He was on the bench.
Did he cause problems when he was on the bench?
Every day. But, mate, it was a nightmare. So then Dean Henderson got called back by Mourinho. And I'm like, normally you go, let's speak, Gavin. Yeah. I'm not going to pick up the phone to Jose. So we were like, and Dean was like, he was speaking to the goal. I don't want to go back because I'm going to be like second training ground goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And the goalkeeper coach went, listen, Dean, you've been unbelievable. Like you've had 6 or 7. He had like 5 or 6 games, 7 games, but he was class. Yeah. Like Jose wants you back now. Yeah. And we're like, oh my God. Then we have to go capping and back to you're the best. And it was like,
we got that transfer request.
And like literally the lads. He'd got in around the lads and killed Marcus,
because that was the word coming out that the lads had turned on him.
He'd gone then.
But when you have an influential person in the dressing room like that,
it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. So that was a massive learning curve for us.
For you personally.
It was like
we've lost.
I was like,
big character in the dressing room.
I was like, we maybe didn't handle that as good as we should have done. Do you know what I mean? The principle was right, and like Marcus could turn around and go, well, I did get it right. Look at Dean Henderson now, and then Dean Henderson played them 5 or 6 games, and I promise you, he was unbelievable. Yeah. He was on a different level, and then from that moment, he went back to United.
Part how you handle that situation, isn't it? Like that's what it's saying. Like for you, manager now, isn't it? That's a real difficult one, isn't it? You've got to pick the best. You pick Dean because he's the better keeper, but how you handle that influential older pro is
that was a massive. Reading the room, we didn't read the room right. We didn't read. In all seriousness, we didn't read the room.
And after Grimsby, was it Barrow then? Did you go to Barrow?
So Coxey ended up getting the Barrow job.
You went as you were manager, but you went there.
So I went to Barrow as Coxey's assistant to start off with. Then he walked out. So they were owned by Americans.
Was this National League at the time?
Yeah, National League. So I sat down with him and I said, like, what do you actually want? Like, what do you want to do? Like, we want to change how we play. I went, okay, fine. But, like, if you're going to work for change, you need time to change. Like, I always say to everybody, to be a manager, head coach, you need 3 things. You need time, luck, and good players. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, if you look at Gareth Southgate, he's definitely got good players. He's definitely had time. Now we need some luck. Do you know what I mean? And you might say, well, he had quite a lot of it.
Quite a lot of luck to
get these Euros. Yeah. So they're the 3 things you need. Time, good players, and a bit of luck. So I said, okay, then. So I did a presentation. This is how I'm going to change. This is a short term. There's going to be a lot of heartache and pain because this group needs. So I want to play 3-5-2, and I want to try and play.
Your preferred style, 3-5-2.
So not necessarily preferred. It was like what was needed for that group.
Yeah. So you looked at the players. I looked at the group and then went for the formation.
And because they were always getting overrun in midfield, so you need to get the game's about overloads, whichever way you want to look at it. So we need to get an overload.
Just on that, like I've been waiting to say this, like genuinely now about tickling your belly, Mick. Like I reckon at 30, probably 2 at the time was I at Nuneaton. I reckon that's the first time genuinely a coach has laid out for me a game strategy. So there's always been go and head it, stick it in a channel, drop it into the front man, get round each other. I've had all of them, but it's probably Mick, you were definitely the one person that's gone, well, when we're here, where do we want to get to? And like I remember us all just being a bit like, everyone's a bit embarrassed to say it. You go, we want to get to here, don't we? And it's like, well, yeah, how are we going to do that? And it's like a game strategy. So, like, it's funny you're saying now about when you were saying to us about, look, you can have the start, I need the middle, you can have the end. Now, funny enough, and I didn't realise I'd obviously got it from you, I say to the players, I just need 25 minutes out of the session. I get it. So I've obviously, like, subconsciously taken that in. But that's the first time I had a game strategy. So, that, like, how mad's that, 32 years old, and it's the first time a manager's gone to me, other than win your headers, do this, do that, has actually gone, right, this is how we want to attack it, and this is what we're going to do out of possession. Don't know if it was a sign of the times.
I was going to say it's exactly what it is. It's a sign of the times, isn't it? That would be common for us. Whereas, like, when we talk about it, Dave overlapped, didn't he, sort of?
Yeah.
The older bit where he's got a lot more tactics in game patterns. And
it's a necessity now, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to.
You have to, but obviously again, you were in the interim, weren't you, where some people did it, some people weren't.
Up until that point as well, a lot of people had said to me, because I was like, it's that typical centre-half, innit? Typical centre-half captain, oh yeah, you'll go on and be a manager, you'll go on and do it. And I was never even that bothered. And probably that was the time then when I started thinking to myself, well, hang on a minute, this is actually quite exciting.
You can influence
this is almost like a game of chess. I'm actually interested. Instead of just going, get it in there, stick it in there, go and win your battles, all of that was a bit pedantic to me, a bit like, yeah, of course you go and win your battles, and I loved all that, but it was getting a little bit like tedious. I've been doing this like 15 years now.
I think for me, when I coached in like the non-league, as like non-league players, I always had the mindset of they deep down they want to be stretched and challenged because they want to be better. You've got an ego, you want to be better. So and I always that's when I used to say, like, just meet me halfway, because I know they're going to work every day. You got a builder, a butcher, candlestick maker, you've got all them, like, so they don't want to be stopped standing still for an hour and a half. They lose the will to live.
Lap dancer. I was a lap dancer.
so
you want to play 5-a-side, don't you?
Yeah, and again, I get it. Yeah. But you need that 20, 25 minutes of structure. Yeah. So then I went into Barrow and I said, listen, if you want change, then no problem. I'm happy to do it. Again, sign me on a 3-year contract. No problem. I said, like, we're going to have to go through change of players, but I can't do it yet. 11 games in, they sacked me. I'm like, then they want to go back. So he wanted it, but he didn't want it, and he wanted it instantly. But he bought into my presentation of saying, listen, it's not going to... So we played like 10 games. We played 10 games. I think I won 1, drew 4, lost 5. I remember going to Hartlepool on a Tuesday night, right? 0-0 away from home. We'd battered Hartlepool. We just couldn't score, right? In the 88th minute, the linesman gets injured. I knew that night that I'd done. The linesman got injured. 8 minutes. So the 4th official became the linesman. Anyway, 98th minute, corner, ball comes in, we head it out. The corner taker gets it, puts it back in. I'll always remember it. Michael Woods ran straight through the middle, header, and I sat in the dugout and I went, I'm going to get no luck here whatsoever. We played Tranmere away, right? We had a throw-in. We had a lad called Dan Jones who could throw it. Threw it, Ada Youssef headed it, scored. At Tranmere, I thought, yeah, flipping out. Offside from a throw-in. I'm like, has the rules changed, like? And we lost 1-0. So the 5 games I lost 4 games 1-0 and the other one 3-2. And I thought, do you know what, this is like...
Thing is, it's easy for them to say, like,
fine lines,
owners do say, though, like, I'll give you time. Yeah. But when you've won 1 in 10, they're just suddenly going, we're not giving you time anymore because they're the pressure from the fans.
Exactly.
They just
and like, I remember, like, sitting down with the chairman and the vice chairman, who's now the chairman, Paul Hornby, and they're like, we're actually embarrassed to do this. I was like, no, don't be embarrassed. I said, I wear big boys' pants. I know the rules.
You're very pragmatic like that, though, Mick, aren't you? You're
so
very much like, it is what it is.
It is what it is, so I get it. So, obviously, you've put me on a 3-year contract. Like, so, and 10 games in, you want to change it. So, fair enough, you've made your decision. I'm not going to change. Once someone's made the decision, not going to change it. I was like, fine. But can I give you some advice going forward? If this is what you want, you've got to give it time.
Did you have a contingency in a contract, Mick, or did you get your 3 years?
So I did all right.
Did all right.
But then, like, to be fair, they brought Dave Hockaday in, and they got rid of him at the end of the season. To be fair, then they brought in Ian Evatt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they gave Ian Evatt the time.
Yeah.
And then he's done a brilliant job, and he got promoted, which is. But that's what they needed. And then I was literally out of work, so I was contemplating then, my next stage of what I'm going to do, and just randomly. A good friend of mine said, listen, I've been asked to take over at Cheltenham. He goes, I don't know nothing about League Two. I'm not doing it, like, do you know what I mean? But I'm a friend of the chairman's. So I've said to him, you know League Two. So I've said to him to speak to you. So I went, yeah, fun up. I'll have a word with him, like. And he said, listen, Mickey, you know, we've got no players. We're going to get relegated. Like, I need someone to help me. I've just sacked the manager. I need someone now to help me with recruitment and help me bring in the next manager. And I was like,
is that chief scout then? Is that your?
Yeah.
That's your
So he said, like, I need someone to come in and do that. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, been applying for, like, you know, under 21's job or, you know, like national league jobs, and had a few interviews and one thing and another. I was like, now I'm like gone off on a different. So I thought, oh, okay. I said, listen, my mate of mine said, listen, will you just help him? Do you know what I mean? Because, like, he'll be on my case, like. So I said, yeah, I'll help you. So I spoke to Andy. I brought in Sam Jones from Shrewsbury to Cheltenham for 6 months. So, yeah, to Cheltenham. So then I said, okay, I'll help you. There's a week left of the window. So we signed quite a few players. And then they were interviewing for the job. So they interviewed Keith Curl, Martin Devaney, someone else, and Michael Duff. And Michael had obviously played for the club. Yeah. Was doing Burnley's 21s. His wife's from the area. So me and Andy and the board were speaking, and I said, like, you know, I think Michael would be a good choice. It ticks a lot of boxes with the fans. And So Michael came in. And then they said, will you come in as chief scout? I said, yeah, fine, no problem. You know, I'll do it to help you out in terms of, but my career was still going to be coaching and going into management and doing all that. And then literally, Michael came in and we had like 25, 30 players. It was ridiculous. And the club were like third, fourth from bottom. And Michael was 4-4-2. So Michael was right side centre half, get it, centre forward, peel off, big diag into like Barnes in terms of Djukovic in terms of head off the seconds, exactly like Burnley. So this went on, like, you know, didn't win a game. We couldn't even win a throw-in. We were celebrating winning throw-ins. And, like, I'm saying to Michael, like, you know, do you want to just, you know, it's not quite working, like, you know.
Did you find it hard because obviously your background in coaching and managing,
so
assistant manager, to be able to not...
So I sat down with Michael right at the very beginning. I said, listen, I promise you I'm going to stay in my lane. My lane is recruitment, and I'm not going to step in my lane here. If you ask me for my opinion, I will give it you, but I won't give it you. You're going to have to come to me because it will blur it and it's not fair on you. So we need to stay in our lane, basically. He was like, yeah, no problem, Mickey. We'd speak every single day. He could lose a game. Anyway, 4 or 5 games in, 6 games in, we couldn't win a game. So I said to him, I said, like, if you want because he said, what do you think? Like, you know, because he was starting to get, you know, he's a new manager. He can't win a game of football for love or money. So I said, listen, go and play 3-5-2. We're in League Two. Give up the wingers because we've got no wingers in the building. We've got wingers, but they're
not producing.
The 3 things that our wingers do at the moment, they either hit the first man, it goes for a throw-in, or it goes beyond the goal. We're not getting the ball in the middle of the box. They can't cross it. So give it up. So, you know what I mean? So just flood the back line. And to be fair, he went, I'll put Ben Tozer at middle centre half because Ben Tozer was a centre midfielder.
Okay.
Yeah. When we were there. Yeah. But he could play. And then we'll flood the midfield and we'll get 2 up front. And then, by the grace of God, by complete default a little bit, we, at the end of September, somebody had recommended a player. And Michael said, I want you to come in and trial. It was Luke Varney. Oh, and Luke was like, you know, you're taking the mick, like, you know, I'd like nearly 1,000 games, like, you come on trial to Cheltenham, you've been third from bottom.
Yeah.
And
Luke Varney been at Blackpool as in the Premier League, isn't he?
And like
good goal scorer,
isn't he? Yeah, and like we're asking him to come on trial. So then he came, right, and he'd come for this game. And it wasn't for him to come on trial to see if he was good enough. It was just his fitness. Yeah. Right? And, like, literally, the game's at 10 minutes about to start, and no one can see Luke. So Luke's gone to the toilet, and he's done a podcast and said he went to the toilet and he was going home. But luckily, Michael was still around and went, oh, you ready now, yeah? And he went, yeah, I'm ready, yeah. But if Michael would not have been then...
He'd have shipped off.
He was going in his car and going home. Yeah. And Luke then
What was that? Because he's like looking and going, what's
like,
going on here?
Yeah, like I don't need to try like the career I've had. And he played for like, he was down to play a full game. Got to half time, Michael went, "No, you're done.
Yeah.
You've proved your fitness, we'll sign you."
Yeah.
So we had him and Tyrone Barnett. So I said to Michael, I went, "Will you have a look at 3-5-2? We play Arsenal in the Papa John's. Will you have a look at it? Just have a look at it for me. Just see what you think." He went, "Okay, we'll pick that game." This was on a Tuesday night. On the Wednesday, Arsenal were playing in the League Cup. So all the best under-21s played in this. So basically, we played Arsenal's 18s. Yeah. Saka played 16. Yeah. After 5 minutes, we're Cheltenham, first team. We played our best 11 against Arsenal's 18s, right? Yeah. 5 minutes in, they get a player sent off.
Yeah. Oh.
Right? We're like, flipping on happy days. Free kick, edge of the box, Chris Clements, top corner, 1-0 up. All day, every day. They popped us. Absolutely popped us with 10 men. We won. I think we won 6-3. Yeah. But trust me, it was 6-3. It was tight. Yeah. They had 10 men, and they were under 18s.
Kids, yeah.
Wow.
So then on the Saturday we play Ebbsfleet. So Michael kept the same system, 3-5-2. We draw 0-0. Then the week after,
bit of a foundation in there.
So then the week after we played in the league and we drew 1-1. Yeah. Then on the Tuesday night we played Ebbsfleet. They were National League at home, and we drew we won 1-0. Like, it was dreadful. So now we've played 4 games now. We've beat Arsenal's kids. We've had 2 draws, and we've beat Ebbsfleet. So there's a little bit of a foundation now.
Yeah.
And then we drew again, and then we lost. And then we played Notts County in December, and we beat Notts County 1-0, Luke Varney. And then we got to January, and we were in the bottom 2. And I remember playing...
it's in League 2.
League 2.
Yeah.
We ended up playing... Macclesfield right at the beginning. Macclesfield, Sol Campbell was manager, and we go 1-0 down, 1-1. They go 2-1 up, right, and they're popping us. And then again, they have a player sent off, and we end up winning 3-2. And it was like, oh my god, like we just got out. They were like bottom, we were like second bottom, but we got out and someone else went. I think it was Yeovil or someone like that. So we were third from bottom. And then in the January, in the first 10 days, I signed every single player. In terms of, we did our business early. Yeah. We went and got 5 or 6 players, and we got them done. And then, for the grace of God, from that moment till the end of the season, if the league would have started, we would have finished 6th.
So a great run then.
So we had an unbelievable run.
And the new lads you've signed,
were really good for us.
Were these loan signings or
loan signings? But we were loaning from like League 1 and, do you know what I mean? Like League 2.
Yeah.
But they were proper.
And you recruit? Did you recruit them?
So what happened?
You've just known that you've known them lads.
Yeah, and because I knew the level and because I'd coached and managed, I knew everybody.
Yeah.
And like, to be fair to Michael was brilliant. He was like, I know nobody.
Yeah.
Right. I haven't got a clue about players. Do you know what I mean? I can coach, I can manage, but, and no disrespect, for the last 10, 12, 13 years of my life, I've been in the Championship.
Yeah.
And you've said yourself, haven't you? Like, it's time, luck, and obviously you've got to have good players.
Yeah. So then,
it's important.
And the big thing for Michael was, you hear a lot of people saying, you know, when you get to over 30, your legs have gone. Michael doesn't care about age. Because from the age of 31 to when he finished at 38, he had 3 promotions to the Premier League. Yeah. So he was like, you know, I've done all right. Like, I've got 3 promotions from Burnley. He literally got promoted with Burnley, got relegated, got promoted with Burnley, got relegated, got promoted with Burnley. So then we got to the summer and we stayed up. I think we finished 16th, 17th. Yeah. And we had like probably 7, 8 players where I said, like, under contract, and I said, listen, they're not good enough. So I ended up negotiating with 4 or 5 of them a payoff and say, listen, you know, we'll pay you off interest. You know, the first 30 grand is, you know, tax free.
Just for the listeners, then that's obviously someone's got a year left.
Got a year left.
You won them out, so if they're owed 70 grand, you say we'll give you 25 grand or something.
And then
what 30 grand's normally the bullseye in it, because it's
so
like
what
you
we
can
said
get
is,
that
you know,
tax
we'll
free.
give you something, then you can go and get a club and you'd make a few quid. And then when we got to the summer recruitment, what we did is I'd speak to Michael and say, listen, you know, this is who I'd sign. These are the loan signings.
Just quickly, Mick, on that, when you're doing your pay-ups, because I think you've explained it to me before, like how did you balance the books there? Because obviously I think I remember you saying to me, like, it was better to pay these lads up as opposed to see out the term with them in the squad.
If you can imagine, I don't know, let's just say we had like 4 or 5 players that were earning around about 1,600-1,700 a week, right? So 1,600-1,700 quid a week is around about 85-90 grand. So I'll give you 30 grand tax free. So now I'm down to about 50 grand, which is £1,000 a week, right? Then take out your national insurance off that, and it comes down to about 40 grand a week. So 40 grand a year. So I've got 800 quid basically. So from that, like 17, I've got if I let you go at 17, I've got to replace you with £800.
Right.
But I'll do that with the loans. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So then I go and get 5 loans.
So it wasn't like you were going above your means and you all of a sudden just ended up balancing it out.
I ended up balancing it out. So I'd say
so confident, though, Mick, to do that, because that's like then you've got to go and get players. Like you were confident to go in.
Yeah, well,
it's a risk, isn't it?
It's a risk, but you've got to understand. I was starting with a low bar.
Yeah,
I was starting that we were finishing 17th in the league. And as long as we finished above there, and we weren't in the bottom 2, and I was quite confident. Like Michael's a really good coach, and I was thinking, well, if I get any half decent players, he's going to make them better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So then, what I said to Michael was, these are the players that I'd look to sign, and these are the loans that I can get. And to be fair to Michael was like, well, you could be talking about Donald Duck or Pluto. I wouldn't have a clue. So just sign them. If you believe in them, I trust you. We'd built up a good rapport now. We're 7-8 months into it. So what we did...
What's your role, sorry, at the moment then? Are you still classed as chief scout at this point?
So at this point, I'm still chief scout, but I'm now running the academy. I'm running the football. So I am director of football.
Job description. Yeah, you're basically director of football and doing the job.
So by this stage, I'm sorting out the academy. I'm sitting on every board meeting, doing everything like that. So then what happened then was, so we recruited for the summer, and the object was to make the club sustainable. Can we get to mid-table? And can we build? We ended up finishing 4th. That year, right? We get to the playoffs. COVID hits. We got into the playoffs. We played Northampton away. We're 2-0 up. We are the first club to lose a 2-0 lead. We lost in the second leg 3-0. Right? So we're 2-0 up at Northampton away. Second leg, we lose 3-0. So what happened was, after the first year, me and Michael sat down, and he'd critique me and I'd critique him, yeah? And then I'd said, this is what I think we need next year. And then we went and recruited, and he allowed me and trusted me to recruit, and we finished 4th in the league. Yeah. So then after that, Michael was down then in terms of because it was the first time, he'd been managing now 18 months, 19 months. And there was a part in the game, I looked down, and for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, which isn't long, but it's massive when you're on the touchline, he froze. It became blur, and he couldn't see the wood for the trees. That momentum change.
Yeah.
The game was running away from him, and he couldn't wrestle it. And by the time he got his head round it, we were losing. So
is that similar, just for the bigger picture now? Like, this will come out in not too long. We've had the Euros. Gareth Southgate in a game where it starts to go away from him, and it's a big high pressure game. Yeah. Everyone on the telly can see momentum started to shift. It's changed, but in that moment you just can't quite see the answers.
And Michael, that was the first time I spoke to him after, and I said, you froze. I've physically seen you. Yeah. And he just went, it happened too quick. Because I don't know what happened. Yeah. And I went, that's fine. Yeah. So I said to him, okay, then, so what are we going to change now for next year? And he said, what do you think? I said, we've never recruited for this, but we're going to have to recruit next year. We didn't recruit winners because we were never looking to get in the playoffs. Yeah. So every player froze. So it wasn't just Michael, the players froze, because they were none of them. Yeah. We didn't have one player in the squad that had a promotion in their CV, not one. Yeah. So they didn't know what to do. So what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to go and recruit now some players that have actually got out the league. So if we're in this position again, they might be able to, we can draw upon their experience. So we signed Andy Williams, Liam Sercombe and Matty Blair. All 3 of them had got promotion twice out the league. So, and then again, some of it will be looked. I'm not going to take any credit of saying it was a master plan. So I said to Michael, again, the loans are going to be important. And we signed Josh Griffiths, Finn Azaz.
Josh's West Brom goalkeeper, Finn Azaz, Villa.
So what happened was, Finn Azaz was at West Brom and they were stuck. They didn't know what to do with him. They were on the verge of, are we going to release him? What are we going to do? And I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take him on loan for £250 a week. So I took Finn Azaz for £250 a week.
No, yeah.
Right? And I took Josh Griffiths on about £500 a week. Yeah, it was like ridiculous.
Top goalkeeper, Josh is.
Oh my God, unbelievable. Yeah. Right? So they were like, yeah, brilliant, because you know, we don't know you're going to play him. We had no choice. Yeah. So we took some really good loans, and then I signed these three, and we had momentum from last year. And Michael then learned a lot from finishing fourth.
Yeah. And
he was even harder and stronger in the second year. Yeah. And then we started off really well. And it was one of those, like, we'd get to, like, I don't know, 10, 15 games in, and you'd have played in games and you'd have seen it. We'd go 1-0 up, and you might as well turn the lights off.
Yeah.
Because teams were like, no, we're not going to get back in it.
Yeah.
At this stage, we had Ben Tozer, who was on fire. We had Alfie May up front, who was on fire. So I signed Alfie May from Doncaster. Alfie was getting married in the summer. So this was the January before the year that we got into the playoffs. Signed him in the summer. He's getting married. They didn't know what they were going to do with him. So I said, okay, I'll give you £5,000. So I signed Alfie May for £5,000 and he was on 950 quid. Yeah. Right? So it was like, you know, it was a no-brainer. He was playing right wing. And I said to Michael, he's a centre forward. If you look at his history in non-league, he scores goals in non-league. But Darren Moore's playing in right wing. By the way, Darren had a good team. Yeah. So Alfie then starts hitting the ground running. And we're winning games 1-0. And then we get to January, and then I signed Callum Wright, Sam Smith. We go again. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We go again. Because now we're...
Play with Sam Smith. Is that the same?
He's scared of Shrewsbury. I was at Reading with him as well.
Yeah, that's it.
He's back at Reading now.
So I signed Sam Smith in the January, and he was in a week, and he moaned about the training ground. He moaned about COVID. He moaned about the weather. He moaned about the grass. He moaned about the food. So Michael was like, you need to get a grip of him, like. And I was like, okay. So I said, Sam, like, can we have a chat, like? So me and Michael pulled him into the office, like, what do you think? Like, yeah, I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I don't like this. And Michael just let rip. He'd been on loan to Tranmere, Shrewsbury, Oxford. He'd had like 4 or 5 loans, and there was one common denominator in all the loans. Yeah. You were crap. So Michael went to him, listen, you know, got him out the office, walked him. At the training ground, Michael had a big sign, leave your ego at home, leave your ego at this door, kind of thing. Like, you know, when you come in here, there's no egos. So, listen, your contract's up in 4 months, so it's going to go one or two ways. Yeah. By the way, you're not going to get in this team. Like, we're close to now the top 3. We're in around the top 3. We want to win the league. So you can go, you can feel sorry for yourself. And Michael absolutely ripped him a new one. Like, and to the point of, like, Sam was like, no one's ever said that to me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then Sam went out, and I said to Michael, I'm going to go one or two ways, mate. This is like, this is boom or bust now. You've let, like, I might have not gone that hard on him. Like he tore him to bits. Like, to be fair to Sam, come back the next day, started running around. Yeah. He was brilliant. Yeah. He was unbelievable. Callum Wright, brilliant. And we went and won the league, which has never been done in the club's history. Yeah.
I know Sam really well, and like, what I will say, mate, he's a proper professional. Though, isn't he?
Unbelievable.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's gym, nutrition, works his balls. But he's come from Reading, where everything's like elite there.
So he was at Reading. He was at Man United. Went to Reading. Yapstam put him in the first team at like 17, 18.
Yeah, that's when I was at Reading with him. Yeah.
And so he come in with these really high standards. And I'm like, I understand that. Listen, don't lower your standards to us. We've got to get to your standards, but. Check your ego,
it is what it is, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It is what it is to get over it, yeah.
You say all the time, Sam, don't you? Like, you can throw stones all you want, but you've got to be ripping it up yourself. And
and to be fair to him, what you call it then, from that moment on, he was unbelievable. He was really
And then he signed for Cambridge after that, wasn't he? He had a really good spell at
So
Cambridge.
what happened was we won the league, which it was the first league title the club's ever had in Football League history.
Have you still got the title of...
No, I'm director of football at this stage.
I've
now become director of
official
football.
now and everything.
Yeah. So, and to be fair to Sam, Sam was brilliant. He come up and he went, listen, thank you.
Yeah.
To this day, I still speak to Sam. Michael still speaks to Sam.
Yeah.
And he said, I needed that. He said, you're the first manager to do it in the way that you've done it. All the rest have tried to do it in a softly manner.
Yeah.
And like, Michael wasn't interested in that. And then, obviously I'd got the title by this stage. Then we went up into League One, and obviously we had a low budget, and again we took some good loans. We took Aaron Ramsey, who's now at Burnley from Villa. We took Kieran Kentetti from Tottenham, who's now at Cardiff.
Striker, isn't it?
Yeah, the striker. We took all Premier League. We're all getting Premier League loans now because we're playing them.
So your record's really successful.
Yeah. So like, so you'll know Matt Murray.
Yeah.
Like Matt, like flipping. He had Josh Griffiths, brilliant.
Josh,
Keon, brilliant. Aaron Ramsey, brilliant. Like, Matt's like whatever loans you want, like.
Because he knows they'll play.
Because they'll play, and we'll put value on them. So then we the first season we finished 15th or 16th, which is the highest place finish in Cheltenham's history, and we played Man City in the fourth round of the FA Cup, and we're 1-0 up. Alfie May with 6 minutes to go. Like, it's one of those like,
what's happening? Yeah,
what's happening there? We scored after like 55 or 65 minutes. And that's not part of the script.
Yeah.
So at this stage, now after about 70 minutes, Foden's coming on, De Bruyne's coming, like all the big hitters are coming on, and we get to like the 84th minute, and it's one of those like, could this really?
Could we just see this out?
Could it really happen? And like, trust me, at this stage, like our back three, back five are behind the stand. Like, they're not even on the goal line; they're behind the stand. And like, however much Michael's trying to get, like,
get out. We're
playing 5-4. No, we're playing 5-5. We're not getting. Like, Alfie's playing everywhere but bar centre forward. Like. And then Foden scores to make it 1-1. And 2 minutes later, it's 2-1. Then 89th minute. But, like, literally, from the 84th minute to the 89th, we're 3-1 down. Yeah. Now it's a case of blow the whistle. It could get embarrassing. And we lose 3-1. It was, like, glorious failure. Yeah. But it was, that was an unbelievable experience for the lads. And then Michael left in the summer.
Barnsley.
Yeah. So So by this stage, I'd probably had 2 or 3 offers to go, but I didn't go because I didn't feel right.
You go as director of football somewhere else?
No. So so one of them was to go as director of football. The other one was to go as a head of recruitment in League One, and one was to go in the Championship as head of recruitment. But it didn't feel right. I didn't get the right vibes. Anyway, and me and Michael had always said we had an agreement we wouldn't leave together because it would kill the club. By that stage, every football decision was mine. The direction the football club was going was mine. So then Michael got this opportunity to go to Barnsley. And I'm like, is this the right one for you? And he was brilliant. He said, well, we are never going to repeat what we've done. And you're not going to get me the same players. It's impossible. We've had a good run.
Yeah.
Year on year, we've done well. Yeah. This is not going to continue happening. I need to get out now.
You've massively overachieved as well.
Massively overachieved.
That's really good for him to recognise that this is the moment.
This is the moment.
Everything's fallen into place, and
then I turned around and I said, "Well, okay, but I've turned jobs down, and now I can't go."
I'm left.
I'm left. And he was like, "Micky, I can't do nothing." So Michael left, and in our first year, like I say, it was the highest place finish we'd ever been. With the lowest budget, never been in the bottom 4 for one day. Then Michael left, and I appointed Wade because Wade had been there as a coach. The Championship year.
It was
Wade Elliott.
Oh, right,
Again, he played at Burnley, didn't he?
Burnley, Birmingham. He had a good career. Really intense.
Is he a Cheltenham boy?
No,
but he was there. He played there for a while, didn't he?
No, he's originally from like Southampton, Bashley. He started off in non-league, went to Bournemouth, but had really high standards, worked really well, and then so I gave Wade the job. So I said to the board, I think Wade's the right person. Keep that continuity.
So as director of football, you get to choose the manager.
Yeah, at Cheltenham, the board were like, yeah, okay, we'll go with it. Because I started saying, nothing's broken here.
But you've got a lot of trust in the bank there, though, haven't you? Like
so at this stage, like
they're trusting you.
We're trusting now. So when Wade come in, I said to Wade, listen, Wade, we have to change the model now. We have no choice. Do you know what I mean? So. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, I'd already spoken to Michael. If we stayed up, I'm going to go 25 and under. because now we need to sell players because we can't survive.
Yeah.
And he goes, I get that, Mickey, but I said, Wade, you're going to have to trust me. And he was like, yeah, no problem, because he'd seen 2 years of my body of work. Yeah. So we signed 13 players in the summer, 12.
Your model was to develop them, sell them.
Develop and sell them now. So I put a squad together to try and get us in the playoffs, which we did. I tried to put a squad together to get us in the playoffs for the second time, but we won the league. And then put a squad together to keep us in League One, so which we did. But now we have to evolve. So we signed 13 players, 12 of them were under 25, and the one that was over is only because one of our players had to retire. So it was a last-minute decision. So I said, okay, we're going to bring some young players in. We're not going to do as many loans because we're going to try and produce, develop, and sell our own. And by this stage, I've got a pathway now for the young lads. I'd started a pathway at the academy with one of the young lads. I'd got him into non-league, put the under-18s coach into non-league as a manager so we could get our players in it. And we ended up selling him to Southampton. And then, obviously, with Wade, then again, we never went into the bottom four once that year. And we stayed up. We got to the semi-final of the Papa John's, as it Bristol Street now.
The Milk Cup.
Yeah. We lost to, funny enough, we played Plymouth in the semi-final, lost to them on penalties. So again, they'd never got to the semi-final in their history. Now we'd stayed up 2 years on the trot. So now we're into our third year. The longest Cheltenham have ever stayed in League One is 3 years. So after year 2, halfway through that year, Forest Green had come in for me and offered me the job to go there.
As director of football?
As director of football, because I'd just lost Rich Hughes to Portsmouth.
He's a good guy, isn't he, Rich Hughes?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, good guy.
So again...
He was there with Rob Edwards, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was there with Rob. He appointed Rob. So they come in for me, and I thought it didn't feel right leaving Cheltenham in the middle of a season. And I didn't think it was right to leave Wade, because I'd appointed Wade, and like 3 months into Wade's tenure, I'm walking out on him. It didn't.
But you're the person who's going to have his back because you've given him the job.
And again, he was going through a difficult period, and the fans were questioning, the board were questioning him, and I thought, he needs me now, and it's not fair. This isn't right. So I ended up staying to the end of the year, and again, I'd like one or two people had muted about having conversations with me, but I wasn't looking to leave.
Yeah.
And then Roland spoke to Shrewsbury, Cheltenham, and said, we're looking to go down the director of football route. Can I speak to Mickey? I'd never met him, never spoke to him in my life.
How had Roland, the chairman, heard about you then?
Basically, I think he'd seen the rise of what Cheltenham were doing.
Yeah.
And I think some of the selling point was we were making profit because now we were selling players. We were buying and selling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
he's looked at it.
So he's looking at it and going, hold on a second. These have gone from nowhere to being in League One.
And being profitable.
With the lowest budget in the league.
Yeah.
They've never been in the bottom four. And now they're selling players. And now we're actually making money.
Yeah.
So he obviously
it's
took
a
his own
no-brainer,
work.
isn't it, when Shrewsbury to be like that?
So then the club said to me, listen, we've had a phone call from Roland. He's interested. We don't want to lose you. And I'd always said to the club, if anyone ever approaches you, I will always give them the respect to go and speak to him. Even though I've turned clubs down before, I'd still go and speak to him because I didn't know. Mm-hmm. It was completely out of the blue. Yeah. And then I come and met the chairman, and when you meet the chairman for the first time, he's quite quirky in terms of how he speaks to you. And literally, honestly, we just connected. I don't know how and I don't know why. We just really... And I just felt a real warmth about him.
Yeah.
And we left the meeting, and then he said, have a think about it. No pressure, da-da-da-da-da. And then I had another meeting with him. And I thought, well, okay, first impressions, it was good. Is he going to be the same again? And he was unbelievable. Really good. To the point, I wanted to cuddle him. Do you know what I mean? He's like...
Have they got a manager at this time? Who was the manager?
Steve Cottrell.
So Steve Cottrell was...
Still manager.
Steve Cottrell was in there.
Steve Cottrell
was this at the end of the season?
Yeah,
so Steve Cottrell's in there, but but the chairman's speaking to you. So does Steve Cottrell know that he's speaking to you? Because...
at this stage,
You don't know what's happening.
I don't know what's happening. So then he he says, listen, I want to offer you the job, and I was like, yeah, okay, you know, got a really good job at Cheltenham where basically I've got the keys to the place, you know. And
You've got full autonomy there.
I've got full autonomy, like, you know, the academy's now thriving. We've got sellable assets. You know, we've sold a few players.
You've worked really hard to get to that point as well.
We've worked, you know, to keep the club into the league for the third year.
Yeah.
You were saying a minute ago, earlier, Mick, about Michael Duff. He'd sort of got to that point where he was like, look, we've had a great run. Did you feel a little bit like that yourself?
I got to that stage now where I'd turned down a lot of opportunities, and I was coming to I was potentially going to come to a club that's very stable, chairman that's like local, had a lot of years here, knows football.
Yeah.
And I went out and I spoke to my missus. She said, what do you think? I said, I'm going to do it. She went, really? Because I'd never, she went, why? I went, it's him. It's the chairman. I've just connected with him.
With every walk of life, everyone listens to this. Everyone would have a moment where it just feels right.
Yeah.
With you get that synergy, don't you? You get that gut
100%.
feeling, which you can't say
then,
why.
And then Kenny was like, so, you know, the chairman said, listen, this is what it is. And no exaggeration, the negotiations took 5 minutes. It wasn't like, it was just him.
But all the best ones are, though, aren't they? All the best ones are that simple.
It just felt right. You know, like it felt right. Yeah. Obviously, then I did my homework in terms of...
Do you know what's mad with me as well for me, though? You're having a discussion with the chairman, but Steve Coppell as the manager is not involved in any of this.
I've had no conversation with Steve.
You've had no conversation with him.
So,
because your relationship with him is going to be key, isn't it?
Yeah,
you don't know how you're going to get on with
so
him.
again, so the chairman was like, I'm watching football, I'm seeing football evolve.
Yeah.
And... whether people agree, disagree, like it, dislike the role, whatever it is, everyone's going to have a director of football.
That's the problem with your role, Mick, isn't it? Your role is like, I don't think supporters, like across the board, like as we do around this table, I don't think supporters understand the role.
Yeah, so
much.
when...
In 10 years' time, they will.
Oh, 100%.
So, you know,
You're still in that transition,
so, you know,
aren't you?
like when Cheltenham announced I'm director of football, first director of footballing club in their history, they're like, well, why? You know, we've got...
What is that?
Well, you know, you're head of recruitment. Like, why do we need a director of football? Because, like, their natural perception was, I was looking at the players, and Michael will be the first to admit, like, every player that I said to Michael, listen, we want to sign Dave Edwards. And he'll go to me, what's he going to bring to me?
Yeah.
This is what I think he's going to bring to you. I know what you want now.
So it's like presenting a banquet in front of the manager and going, right, what do you want to choose? Like, this is...
So, like, with Michael, it was a case of... And it's really strange. So, Michael, the last thing he ever wants... If I said to him, I've got this midfield, he gets on the half turn, he plays through the lines and da-da-da. Michael switched off. Has no interest. He did not care one bit what I said about him as a footballer.
Yeah.
Can he run? Will he run?
Yeah.
Because Michael wanted players that mirrored his career.
Yeah.
So Michael will be the first to admit he wasn't a skillful player, but he wanted hard work. He wanted all them principles.
Which you do, don't you? So you're biased towards players who are similar to yourself.
Yeah.
So Steve Coppell is very different because he would know that. He would know players, wouldn't he?
Yes, exactly.
He would know that. He would.
So
know
I knew then, if once I made the decision I was going to leave Cheltenham, wherever I went, no matter what club it went, I was never... Listen, a copy is never as good as the original. So what I had at Cheltenham was never going to happen again. I could just stay where I am at Cheltenham. Yeah. Because I was, it was going really well. So, but I needed to come out of my comfort zone. I knew deep down at the time was right. And even when, to be fair to the chairman, again, he made it really easy for me, but really hard. Because I was like, he goes, I know it's a difficult decision. Because I probably took about 2 weeks, even though I knew, I still had doubt, even though I knew it was right. And he was like, take your time. Listen, there's no rush. And if it's not right, don't come. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it, I know it's a big thing to leave Cheltenham. And because he was so nice, it made it even up. I loved him even more. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, no, put a gun to my head and say, you want an answer in the next 24 hours? But he never.
Because you always know then you're working with someone with integrity. So you're like, well...
I remember, you're good friends with a guy called Phil Boardman, aren't you? Who was I was at Wolves with me. He was Kenny Jackett's analyst at Wolves to start off with. But
he's a cyclist, didn't he?
Huh? But he's a bit like you, Mick, in that he knows everything about football. He knows every single player. When I'm doing prep
inside leg
when I'm
measurement.
doing prep for commentary, I'll ring him and I'll say, talk to me about these, and he will give me everything on every single player. But then Kenny loved him that much, he took him to Portsmouth as head of recruitment. And then he's at Everton now, isn't he?
I spoke to him today. He's been in Northern Ireland with the under-19s.
But he rang me. I didn't know any of this was going on at all. And he rang me and said, I had Micky Moore ringing me. He's director of football at Cheltenham. He's in talks with the chairman. He just wants to know, is the chairman, because you must have got this feeling the chairman's such a nice guy. He just wants to know, is it genuine?
Yeah.
Does he love the football club as much as he's saying? And I'm like, 100%. He lives Shrewsbury Town. I remember that's the only question he asked me, Phil.
Yeah, so what I did then was I said, okay, you know when something's too good to be true, they always say there's always a catch, isn't there? So I thought, okay, then I need to now do some. So I spoke to people, managers that had worked with him. I spoke to people that knew him. Then I spoke to Phil to speak to you. Yeah. And I thought I need to get someone to speak negative. So and like this can't, because no one did. And I wanted even like the managers. I spoke to people that he'd sacked. And even they spoke highly of him. I'm like, that doesn't happen.
That's good. That if he's sacking people and they're still speaking high, it's like they not being the team but still talking well about the managers. It's rare.
So so then I what you'd call take the leap of faith and said to the chairman, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then literally that was on the Thursday. I said yes. I came in on the Thursday and Friday, and then I literally went on holiday. So I'd agreed, right, but I'd never signed my contract or nothing. And then I went on holiday, and I came back on the. I'll always remember. I came back on the Tuesday, on the Monday night. I came in on the Tuesday morning on the 5th of June at 9 o'clock. Signed in my contract. I was signing my contract that day, and at 5 o'clock, Steve Cottrell was leaving. He left at 5 o'clock that day.
Thank you very much for listening. That was the first episode of Micky Moore, The Early Years. Please tune in next time to listen to Micky Moore and hear about his time at Shrewsbury. Thanks for listening. See you soon, everybody.